City Dispatch. Can I help you?
Hi, I'm trying to do a wellness check on a friend of mine that's in Ketchikan.
Okay, what's his or her name?
Eric Garcia, and I haven't heard from him, so I'm getting worried.
Dr. Garcia, Police Department, can you make yourself known, sir?
Yeah, he's here. Okay.
When 58 years old, Dr. Eric Garcia was found dead in his house. It soon made headlines everywhere. But the mystery behind his death was far more harrowing than anyone expected.
In my gut, this death wasn't what it was as it had appeared.
But as they dug deeper, this simple welfare check took a terrifying turn when they realized that the killer was along with them, and so close that he was the first to reach the crime scene.
He was very good at manipulating, very good.
By March 27, 2017, 12 days had passed since Jordan Joplin had called 911 multiple times, pleading for a welfare check on his friend, Dr. Eric Garcia. He was supposed to attend an important medical conference on March 16th, but never showed up, leaving everyone deeply worried for him.
Basically trying to find out if they got a hold of Eric, or if because I know that Saturday he was supposed to come here to Washington, which is where I'm at. Nobody's heard from him yet. He gave me a house key, and I'm going up there on Monday because I haven't heard anything, and I am very worried. I did talk to a lawyer, and he said that I could talk to you guys, and I can give you guys permission to go in there, but I would have to physically be there. So
We're more than welcome to go do that for you.
Each time the police came to check, they only looked around from the outside before leaving. But this time, when the Ketchikan, Alaska police arrived at Dr. Eric's house, 2 trucks pulled up alongside them. One of them was Dr. Eric's red Ford pickup, driven by none other than Jordan, who came all the way from Washington.
They said he had a red truck. Is this the truck?
Just went and picked it up, yeah.
Where'd you find that?
Down at the airport.
Jordan, who had a spare set of keys to the house, helped the police get inside. Little did they know what waited for them beyond that door would hold a web of mysteries.
Dr. Garcia, Police Department. Dr. Garcia, Dr. Garcia, Officer Miller, Police Department.
Their first priority was to secure the house and confirm if Dr. Eric was safe. After clearing the ground floor, they headed upstairs and stumbled upon a scene that froze them in their tracks.
Yeah, he's here. Okay. I'll start taking photos.
Dr. Eric, known as one of the most generous and compassionate surgeons, was found dead. The discovery was not only heartbreaking, but also surreal. However, the toughest part was yet to come, which was breaking the devastating news to his friends who were anxiously waiting outside for answers.
There's no easy way to put this, but he has passed away.
We were all upset. Everyone there, I was probably briefly in shock.
Chester. No, I don't blame you. I have heart issues. Okay. Well, if you need to go to the hospital, we can get you to the hospital. If you want to go sit down, go sit down.
While the news was hard to process, the police began piecing together what might have exactly happened. It was during this process that one of Dr. Eric's friends mentioned that he had been dealing with some health issues.
Major heart issues. Okay. His last time he was hospitalized was January.
This year?
This year.
Okay.
They hospitalized him overnight here in Ketchikan.
Could it really be a natural death? The truth was locked away in the autopsy report, which would take days to arrive. But as the police continued their search, they stumbled upon something that painted a chilling picture. Upstairs, the air was thick with the strange smell of burnt barbecue briquettes. The deck door was wide open, and a cushion had been propped to let the smoke drift into the house, which was highly unusual. But there was something even more unsettling.
Around the body, there was actually a pill bottle that had Dr. Garcia's name on it. Next to the doctor was a coffee table that was pushed up close to the couch where he was located.
There was an open package of bacon, and there was a partially burned charcoal briquette on the coffee table.
As the police tried to make sense of the strange scene, outside, one of Dr. Eric's friends, Bobby Jackson, grew visibly agitated about something serious.
This house needs to be secured.
Yeah, we'll take care of it.
I mean, alarm needs to be set. What I'm saying is there's stuff in there that needs to be locked up.
He pulled them aside and pointed towards a closed door, claiming that it led to a storage area. But in reality, it was where Dr. Eric kept his most prized possessions, which was a goldmine for many.
Dr. Garcia had hundreds
of mostly silver. He had some gold, but he collected gold coins and some of the mint coins, and he had a lot. When I moved him from his rental to Dr. Garcia's new house that he purchased, it sagged the back of my car down. He had so much gold and silver in there.
With growing urgency, the police rushed to open the dead-bolted door, hoping to confirm if the valuable items were still there. But what they found, however, was nothing like they expected.
There was no gold, there was no silver found. There were racks and racks that were empty.
I did not see a large collection of alcohol or coins or gold or anything. There was 30 or 40 bottles.
It became clear that Dr. Eric wasn't just dead. He had been robbed. Yet, strangely, there were no signs of a break-in or forced entry into the house or storage room. Almost everyone close to him knew about the treasure he kept hidden, but no one could say if the robbery was connected to his death. However, for police, it soon became a key focus of the investigation, as Dr. Eric was known for his kindness, always giving gifts and dedicating his time to his friends and service.
What I've learned about Dr. Garcia through the course of the investigation is that he was very generous and shared things often with those that he loved and was close to. He would share portions of that alcohol collection that he had. He would gift gold coins.
But for some of his closest loved ones, his selflessness had sometimes felt a bit too much, raising questions they never expected to have to ask.
I mean, he had no bounds. He just, hey, you like that? Is that cool? Have it, and it's a gold nugget. It's an expensive piece of jewelry. Normal people don't just give to whoever.
Just when the police thought they were onto their first lead, another twist came their way. Jordan called them again, but this time regarding his growing fears behind Dr. Eric's death.
I am very worried. He's been missing, and he was contemplating. Nobody's heard from him, his parents. 10 days it's been.
Okay.
What stood out as particularly odd was the family's response, as they confirmed that Dr. Eric had never shown signs of depression or any intention of harming himself.
Do you think he was lonely?
Yes. And the reason for that is after he died, I went to his house. I was by myself, and it was so lonely there. There's no lights outside. It's so quiet. And inside that house, I just felt the loneliness. I just could not imagine him living in there.
Now, finding out the exact cause of Dr. Eric's death became more urgent than ever. And when the autopsy report finally arrived, it revealed something deeply disturbing. The cause of death was listed as a morphine overdose, but there was a big problem. In reality, no morphine was found anywhere in Dr. Eric's house. Even more perplexing was that his bloodstream showed traces of a prescription sedative, along with dangerously high levels of carbon monoxide.
The toxicology report revealed a 9% value of carbon monoxide.
Now that is 4 times the normal limit. So this raises the attention of police when you consider all the other aspects of this case that they've learned.
Soon, a crucial detail clicked: the strong smell of grill and charcoal from the house that was far from ordinary.
The deck is on the windward side of the house.
That's the southeast side.
Southeast side of the house.
So no one in Ketchikan who was a resident here, in your view, would ever have barbecued on the southeast side of their house.
Especially on the second floor that's going to get some wind.
To unravel the mystery, the police decided to take another hard look at the house, and this time they discovered some alarming riddles. The walls were dotted with strange markings, which were the leftovers from what turned out to be multiple smoke detectors that had been removed.
Every single place that a smoke detector was located or should have been was just the base, with the wiring harness sticking out. There was not one smoke detector inside that house. They were all missing.
According to Dr. Eric's friends, he wasn't the type of person to climb a ladder and remove smoke detectors himself. In fact, they described him as someone who rarely did anything for himself, not even simple tasks like grilling. This new detail added weight to their suspicions. The removed smoke detectors, combined with the strange smell of charcoal and the open deck door, painted a picture far more complex than what it seemed at first glance.
He is so committed to this career that he's not doing anything else. So his house could be on fire. He has to call somebody else to go, hey, can you check on that fire and maybe see if you can call the police or something.
The missing smoke detectors had been removed to avoid triggering an alarm when the barbecue flames were set. But where had they gone? As the investigation dragged on, finding the missing smoke detectors became increasingly difficult. Until weeks after Dr. Eric's death, his brother Saul Garcia was walking near the woods not far from his late brother's house and suddenly noticed an odd pile of discarded items tucked among the trees. This discovery would take the case into a whole new dramatic turn.
As I'm walking, I get a ping on my phone and I pull it out, and as I look at my phone, I notice these white dots down below. I took some pictures with the telephoto lens, and sure enough, those look like the smoke detectors.
Saul wasted no time and called the Ketchikan police, who rushed to the woods. There they discovered 6 smoke detectors discarded among the trees, and when they returned to Dr. Eric's house, they matched the detectors to the 6 empty mounting plates on the walls using their serial numbers. The match was undeniable. Someone had desperately tried to dispose of them to get rid of the evidence. It wasn't just a robbery, but a planned murder. The authorities now began to suspect that someone close to Dr. Eric might be involved in his death, as the person would have had easy access to the house. To dig deeper, they started looking into every aspect of Dr. Eric's life, including his financial records. And that's when they made a shocking discovery.
Garcia had made wire transfers to several people, including someone named Logan Cruz.
Where's all this money going to? Who is Logan Cruz?
While it caught them by surprise, they soon realized they already had a clue about this new lead. Logan Cruz.
Nobody's heard from him yet.
Okay, and what's your name?
My name's Logan. My real name is Jordan Joplin, but everybody calls me Logan. Sorry.
Although Jordan was familiar to Dr. Eric's friends, he remained somewhat of an enigma to those present at the scene the day Dr. Eric's body was discovered. Jordan claimed to be extremely close to Dr. Eric, and even drove his pickup truck back to the house with his girlfriend. However, from the very beginning, his behavior was questionable, and his demeanor just didn't sit right with the others. What made things even stranger was that Jordan was the one who had requested the welfare check, flying all the way from Washington to Ketchikan with a key to Dr. Eric's house.
So what is that relationship? Who is this guy?
So we just close the doors, some privacy.
Jordan wasn't just close to Dr. Eric. He had been trusted with a power of attorney, giving him significant control over Dr. Eric's affairs. But when the police asked him about the missing valuables, he claimed to have no idea about them.
You said you have power of attorney?
I have a paper that he gave me
Okay.
that says power of attorney.
Okay.
Attorney at the top.
Where is it at?
It's my house.
Do you know of any high-valued items in the house?
No.
Anything you think is high? You're obviously, where do you stay when you're in Ketchikan?
Here.
Okay. And you're not aware of any high-valued items in the house?
Yeah, actually.
Okay.
Um.
I'm asking you about it because...
Oh, yeah.
So you need to be truthful with us.
The suspicions surrounding him didn't end there. The very next day, after the police received a search warrant, they decided to inspect Dr. Eric's pickup truck, and inside the glove compartment, they found a crucial piece of evidence.
In the truck, we found a receipt, a waybill.
From a barge company that transports goods all through Alaska along the coast down to the state of Washington.
In the receipt from Alaska Marine Lines AML, it clearly indicated that Jordan was listed as the recipient, and Dr. Eric's address was provided as the shipper. The shipment was headed to Jordan's address in Maple Valley, Washington. But what was even more surprising was the weight of the package, which was nearly 2 tons. What could possibly be inside such a massive package?
I did locate a Walmart receipt that was in the garbage in the kitchen.
That Walmart receipt listed several items, notably several plastic bins or totes, things that you would store a variety of items in, just plastic boxes with lids.
We do have a few questions for you.
Interestingly, Jordan had an explanation for it, as he claimed that during his last visit to Ketchikan on March 15th, he and Dr. Eric had gone to Walmart together for some shopping.
Yeah, I think it was the 16th is when I used his truck.
Okay, because you'd have to return the truck to him.
Well, he was with me. So, we went to Walmart.
Without wasting any time, the police headed to the only Walmart in the area to review the security footage. What they found on the surveillance cameras was a significant breakthrough in the investigation.
What you see is Jordan Joplin moving about Walmart from various different angles. It shows him from the side. It shows him from above. It just shows Jordan Joplin checking out with all these stacked plastic bins in his cart. One of the camera angles actually shows Jordan Joplin with a huge grin on his face.
He also had an employee who helped him load several bins into his truck, so much so that he needed an extra cart. After the items were packed, Jordan drove off, but what stood out was what wasn't on the camera: Dr. Eric. He wasn't seen in any of the shots of the camera. With Jordan's lies coming to light, authorities were more curious about shipment with Alaska Marine Lines. They quickly went to the shipping company to investigate further, and the footage they found there only confirmed their growing suspicions.
That's the point in time where we saw video footage of Dr. Garcia's truck, and then Jordan Joplin coming and going from the vehicle and unloading items.
Jordan had used plastic crates to load items into shipping containers, which were then sent through AML Alaska Marine Lines. But just as the authorities got this major lead, bad news followed. Those containers had already been shipped 10 days earlier and were now on a barge heading to Seattle.
Whatever is inside those containers, detectives want to get their hands on it before Jordan Joplin does. They take off for Seattle, and the clock is ticking.
Everything was unfolding just as they planned. They reached the shipping port in Washington just ahead of Jordan, only to find that the containers were already set aside, ready for pickup. When the authorities opened them, they uncovered what everyone had been searching for: the gold mine of valuables that had gone missing from Dr. Eric's house. This discovery wasn't just about recovering stolen items. It was the key that would blow the entire case wide open.
Oh my God.
There were cases of coins and collectibles, the gold and silver. There were hundreds of bottles. It was a massive collection. These boxes were so full, it almost seemed like they were overspilling when we opened them.
His entire life, his computers, personal checks, bank checks in the name of Dr. Garcia, passport in the name of Dr. Garcia.
The authorities had finally uncovered thousands of dollars worth of Dr. Eric's stolen treasure, but this was just the beginning. Their next step was to arrest Jordan, a task that wouldn't be as straightforward as it seemed. They enlisted the help of Seattle law enforcement, whose first challenge was to lure Jordan out of his house, making it easier to apprehend him at the shipping port. Surprisingly, Jordan made their job easier as he was eager to retrieve the containers and quickly agreed to meet at a designated location arranged by the authorities. Unbeknownst to him, it was all a carefully planned trap. Jordan arrived right on time, and after a brief conversation, he was taken into custody without much resistance. With Jordan's arrest, the first phase of their plan was a success, but the investigation wasn't over yet. The next step was to execute a search warrant at Jordan's home, where they hoped to uncover more evidence to tie him to Dr. Eric's death. However, when they arrived at the property, they encountered someone they never imagined.
I was his fiance. At first, I looked out our bedroom door. There was a bunch of unmarked cars, police officers with bulletproof vests on, and I'm like completely naked. I'd just gotten out of the shower, and I was like...
The woman who greeted the authorities at Jordan's house was just the first surprise, and more twists were waiting for them. They immediately noticed that she wasn't the same woman Jordan had brought to Dr. Eric's house. This unexpected revelation opened new doors in the investigation.
I did have concerns that he was then maybe cheating on me with her, but at that point, I wasn't 100% sure. It wasn't until after our house got raided that I found out. So I stood outside of my house for 6 hours. They took my phone, took all my electronics because the warrant was on my name as well.
Kristen Cowles appeared confused but adamant in her stance that she had no idea why the police were there or what the raid was about. It quickly became clear that she was unaware of Jordan's double life and that she'd been cheated on. When questioned about the items found in the house, Kristen firmly stated that Jordan had told her they were all gifts from his close friend.
Notably, during that search warrant, detectives had found a Faraday bag that contained the doctor's cell phones. A Faraday bag is essentially an electronic blocking bag or device. Once it's placed in there, it is cut off from that communication. It hides the signals. We also found in another location Dr. Garcia's wallet with his ID.
Kristen wasn't entirely in the dark about Dr. Eric, as Jordan had told her that he was terminally ill, which was nothing but an explanation for his frequent trips to Alaska, and Kristen had no reason to doubt it, at least not at first. But as the police questioned her and revealed more details, she began to piece things together. Slowly, it dawned on her that Dr. Eric had never been terminally ill.
My world turned upside down and inside out. He did have two sides. He had this facade that he put out, that he was a great person and that he didn't like liars, but he was one himself.
Jordan's connection to Dr. Eric raised serious doubts. How did a man from Washington become so intertwined with the life of a respected surgeon in Alaska? And the answer lay in Jordan's troubled past. He was no stranger to brushes with the law. In 2010, Jordan crossed paths with a woman named Jessica Everton, who had no idea that his community service work, which seemed so noble on the surface, was actually court-mandated. It was a consequence of being convicted of 2 felonies.
He was intoxicating. He really was. And then he used that to manipulate. He was very good at manipulating. Very good.
Jordan wasn't just a skilled manipulator. He was also quite popular with women, charming his way into their trust and earning a seemingly good reputation among them.
He'd have 2-3 girlfriends at the same time, as a matter of fact, in the same truck, showing up at my house. One of the girls, she goes, I don't know what it is, but I can't seem to stay away from him. Later, I had a few connections that I got him into the adult industry. He was a dancer for a while, and then he became a model and an adult entertainer. He was doing movies.
These movies and his new role marked the beginning of his transformation into a new identity, Logan Cruz. But despite his flair for deception, the question remained, what was his connection to Dr. Eric? According to those who knew Jordan, they had never seen him and Dr. Eric together. Their lives appeared to be worlds apart. However, little did anyone realize that Dr. Eric himself harbored secrets, ones far darker and more complex than the other.
I know that he dated when he was young, and mostly I know this from my sister because my sister actually got more into his business than I did. So I think I left those topics alone.
Dr. Eric's family began to wonder if his inexperience with relationships had made him an easy target. It all seemed to trace back to a life-changing operation Dr. Eric underwent in Seattle. During his recovery, he crossed paths with none other than Jordan, who was working as a massage therapist at the time. That meeting was the start of their connection, and what began as casual appointments soon grew into something more personal. To everyone's disbelief, those frequent sessions evolved into a full-blown relationship between the two.
Do you think there were aspects of his private life that he thought would be difficult to share with your family?
Yes. I personally suspected that, so I never really questioned him, but certainly it would have been something hard to discuss with my mom or my dad.
Though Jordan and Dr. Eric's relationship was kept hidden from the world, one person in Washington knew the truth: Amanda Polreich, a close friend of Jordan. When the police tracked Amanda down, she had something significant to reveal.
Well, I knew that he was his sugar daddy.
That the doctor was Jordan's sugar
Yes.
daddy?
He would send him money. He would ship him things. Whatever Jordan wanted, Jordan pretty much got, honestly.
It turned out the secrets weren't confined to Washington. Back in Alaska, investigators had stumbled upon a crucial piece of evidence: a love letter found at Dr. Eric's house.
There is. Okay. Friendship related? I think it's one friendship.
The letter written by Jordan read, "I love you and I hope you never forget that. You are always on my mind, and you mean the world to me. I hope I make you happy, and I hope when you think of me, you smile. Love always, Jordan." But the trail didn't end there. At Jordan's house, investigators uncovered another letter, this one written by Dr. Eric to Jordan. And unlike Jordan's, this message carried a darkly ironic tone.
We located a Valentine's Day card. It was dated February 14, 2017, addressed to Jordan from Eric. I paraphrase what I read in that. "You are my first and only love. Not kidding, you will probably kill me, but know that I will never let you down."
The authorities were inching closer to uncovering the truth behind Dr. Eric's mysterious death. With Jordan finally in custody, their focus shifted to linking him to the elevated levels of morphine and carbon monoxide found in Dr. Eric's system.
Cops go back to that video of Joplin from Walmart where they knew he bought all those packing crates. Well, the evidence also showed that's not all he bought.
He also bought a bag of charcoal. It was the one other thing other than all these plastic bins that Jordan Joplin purchased that day at Walmart.
Could Jordan have been trying to stage the scene to make it appear as though Dr. Eric had inhaled carbon monoxide from the grill to take his own life? If that's possible, then where did the morphine come from? As investigators dug deeper, they uncovered that Jordan had approached Amanda, his close friend, and asked her a peculiar question. How much morphine would it take to be fatal?
He was like, if I wanted to be able to just off myself one day, how much do you think I would need?
Like, how much would it take to either, get high on it or slip away?
Mm-hmm.
When did that conversation happen before the doctor was killed?
I gave it to him way before, months probably.
Was there any discussion on how he used the liquid morphine on the doctor?
Nope. He never mentioned anything about what he was doing at all.
By now, every clue and piece of evidence had fallen into place, allowing the police to form a theory of what happened to Dr. Eric. On March 15th, Jordan had allegedly visited Dr. Eric under the guise of love. During that visit, he administered a fatal dose of morphine and meticulously removed all the smoke detectors from the house. With Dr. Eric unconscious, Jordan placed a lit grill on the southeast side of the property, letting the smoke infiltrate the house through the open deck door. Then, being confident that his plan would erase all suspicion, Jordan returned to Washington, setting up a perfect alibi by later calling for a welfare check. But his carefully laid scheme had unraveled under the weight of the investigation. Now, with all evidence pointing squarely at him, Jordan's plans had crumbled, and he was once again headed toward a confrontation with law enforcement, but this time for a very long time.
So Mr. Joplin was charged with murder in the first degree and also theft in the first degree.
The case had reached its climax, and it was time for the final decision. Nearly 20 people took the stand during the trial, each offering numerous testimonies. Countless arguments were laid before the jury, but the moment that sealed Jordan's fate came in the form of a single haunting video recovered from his phone.
The defendant, Jordan Joplin, took out his cell phone and he took a video of Dr. Eric Garcia, unconscious, gasping for air, and close to death. 10 days later, on March 27, 2017, Ketchikan police officers found Dr. Garcia dead, in the same position as in the video, wearing the same clothes as he did in the video.
The clip was so shocking, so deeply disturbing, that it left everyone in the courtroom in tears. But after weeks of deliberation, the jury reached their verdict.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Jordan Joplin, guilty of murder in the first degree.
Guilty of all charges. He was found guilty of murder in the first degree and theft in the first degree.
On April 9th, 2024, Jordan was sentenced to 99 years in prison without the possibility of parole, a decision that brought justice for Dr. Eric and closure for those who loved him. For Jordan, it was the end of the road, but for everyone affected by Dr. Eric's tragic death, it was a moment that changed their lives forever.
We heard from everyone in Ketchikan how they like to remember your brother, Dr. Eric Garcia. How would you like us to remember him?
I think Eric's legacy is about compassion and caring, but he helped so many people along the way with medicine or just being friends with people and connecting with them.
What are your thoughts on this case? Was just financial gain the motive for Jordan to kill Dr. Eric Garcia? Or were there more sinister layers behind his actions? We'd love to hear from you. If there's a case you'd like us to cover, don't hesitate to drop your recommendations in the comment section below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel Mysterious 7 for more captivating true crime stories. Until next time, stay safe and keep your eyes peeled for the next mystery to unfold.